If you've ever thought to yourself, I wish I could just sit at the piano and make up my own music on the spot, or I wish I could add my own little flavor to that song and my own original ideas, but then you have no idea how to do that, then you are in the right place, because today I'm going to guide you to improvising at the piano for the very first time. So whether you are a classical musician or someone who's been trained in music, and maybe you can only play from sheet music, or you can play any genre but you don't really know how to add your own thing, even if you are playing piano for the very first time in your life, this lesson right here is for you. So this is going to be a very hands-on lesson, and we are going to be playing some piano duets. That means you and I are playing at the same time. So if you just listen to me talk, you might not get much from this video. So I'd suggest that before we start, you get your instrument, get your piano, or get your keyboard, because we are going to make some new music together right now. Okay, let's go straight into it. So for the very first piece that we're going to play, what I would like you to do is to use your middle finger in either your right hand or your left hand. And you're going to use the fleshy part of your finger. Okay, so the pad of your finger is the part that you're going to use to stroke the black keys very gently. So this piece is only going to use black keys. So you're going to be doing things like this. And you'll probably notice that my sounds are sustaining, and what I would suggest you do is, if your piano or your keyboard's got a pedal, press the pedal down, because that's what I'm doing to get that sound. So if your pedal's down, then your notes are going to sound sustained. Okay, so I basically have one rule when it comes to improvising. Okay, and my rule is, as you are playing, do not judge yourself. So don't even question whether what you're playing sounds good or bad. Actually, if you'd like to evaluate your playing, I would suggest that maybe you record you and I playing together, and then after the video you can rewind and maybe evaluate yourself. You might actually be surprised by how good it sounded, or just how interesting that idea was, or how you don't even remember doing that. Okay, so we said we're playing on the black keys, we're using the pad of our finger, our pedals down, and what I want to be doing with you is we're playing a duet, right? So I will be playing mostly from the middle to the low notes, and what I would like you to do is to play from the middle to the high notes. Okay, so if we were physically together, I would be sitting on the left side of the piano while you're sitting on the right. Okay, so you're just going to play notes one by one. I'm going to start by playing what you are playing, and I would like you to try and match when my notes go down or up. So if I go, you can play that with me. Okay. Now it doesn't necessarily have to be the exact same note, as long as we are generally playing our notes at more or less the same time, that's fine. So if I play this note and you've played that, that's absolutely fine. That's all fine. Or if I go, and that's all fine as well. Okay, sometimes our notes matched, sometimes they didn't, and that is the beauty of creating. We've got no idea what's going to happen here. Right, so I'm going to start off playing with you, and then I'll focus on my low notes while you focus on your middle to high notes. Don't forget, pedal down, finger 3, one note at a time, and you're stroking the notes gently, right? Because in your imagination, you're thinking of the most beautiful sunrise that you've ever seen. It's nice and quiet, there are no vehicles, no people, just very peaceful. Actually, outside here I can hear some birds singing, so this is actually beautiful. Right, and this is it's 10 o'clock right here where I am in the morning, so I'm glad to hear those birds singing, and I'll probably add some sound effects of that because that might inspire your imagination even further. Okay, so match what I'm playing. Right, so hopefully your pedals down, get ready, here we go. And you keep playing. I'm gonna add some things now. Carry on. End right here, so you can allow your finger to float off the keys. You can even put your hand on your lap if you want to. Okay, so hopefully what you and I were playing together actually was some good background music for that beautiful morning scene, that morning sunrise scene that we created together. Okay, so creating from scratch is as simple as that. And the good news that I've got for you is that when you play just one note, so let's say you did all you did in that little exercise, if all you did was this, well done to you, okay, because you made that up, and that qualifies as improvisation. And as we do these exercises, feel free to repeat a note if you want to. So you could play the same note, or you could alternate between two notes, or you could alternate between many different notes. You could play across your entire instrument if you want to, like I did earlier when I went like, so I did something like, well, I don't know what image comes to mind there, but for me, I'm almost visualizing a waterfall right there. So just a beautiful waterfall, and okay, and I don't know what comes to your imagination when you hear that, but basically that's what the piano does, is you can create all these images in either your mind or in the mind of whoever is listening, okay, by just playing the keys. So what I want to do, let's add one more layer to this. So we've been playing the black keys, but I wonder what would happen if we added a white key. And the white key that we're going to add in this instance is F. So F, you find F by going to the left of any group of 3 black keys. So here are 3 black keys, and right to the left of those is the note F. So this is an F. That's an F. That's an F. Okay. So feel free to play any F on your keyboard. So we're still going to play the black keys mostly. But anytime you feel like it, you can play an F. And I hope you can hear that F actually did something to, I'm sure, my bone marrow. I felt the effect of that note in my body, right? So you really want to allow all these notes to become your friends, okay? And just embrace the sound of each. Even if you accidentally played 2 of them, isn't that a beautiful sound? Okay. So we're still going to try 1 note at a time. Any black key. And then any F that you want. You can still have your pedal down. This is going to give our piece a different color, different character, and possibly different scene. It's probably not going to feel as sunrisey as the previous one. Okay, so this might feel different. Let me know what image this evokes in your mind. Okay, so I'm going to start. Remember, try and match when I play the notes. Okay, not the exact note, just when we play. Okay. You could use 2 hands if you want to, like what I'm doing here. That's absolutely fine. Ooh, nice. Keep going. There's some repetition, right? I'm just alternating. Keep it going. Let's end our song here. Ooh, nice, right? I've decided to end with that beautiful note. That for me just evokes a dark feeling. I can almost visualize a dark color every time I play that F. Okay, So, one of the best ways to improvise or to just start is on black keys, and when you want to give it a completely different color, you can just add the note F. Okay. So it's quite nice when you play with someone else, because you don't have to focus on what the left hand's going to be doing. You can just focus on what the right hand can do, your right hand, or you could even play. So these things that I'm doing here are things that anyone who's interested in piano can do, even if they've never ever played the piano, right? You're just playing your black keys in any order, whatever you want, with no judgment, but just enjoy and just use your imagination. So I would consider this step number one to improvising for the very first time, but it's quite important that you carry this on as you continue to add more information. Okay. One of the things about improvisation is, although it sounds magical, it is not magic. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't do it, because I'm certainly no magician, right? So all it is, in my opinion, is improvisation is simply communication and storytelling. So you are trying to tell a story through your instrument. Now, what do you need to tell a story? You need to have the vocabulary, right? So vocabulary is something that you build over time. And I think I can safely say that in each genre or each style of music, each of those has got their own vocabulary. Now, I'm speaking to you in English now, and what I've noticed over the years is that there are words that come into the English vocabulary that have not been there. So every now and then someone will introduce, or a group of people might introduce some new words that we've never heard. You even wonder, who came up with this word? Okay, what does it mean? And I actually teach a number of teenagers, and sometimes I wonder, are these guys speaking in English, or is this a completely new language? But they can understand themselves, you know. So with language comes evolution. So some words change, and then some words also go out of fashion. Okay. So, for instance, I'm not asking you, did thou understandeth the notes that cameth from? Okay, obviously, I'm messing around here, but we don't speak like that anymore. Although that's English, the words change. So, what does this mean for piano playing? So, if I make a parallel between language or storytelling and piano playing, what this means is we've got to figure out what are the words that we can use. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily mean you're constantly creating new material. Okay, because unfortunately that's one of the things that musicians want, you know. I need to play something that nobody on the planet has ever played. Well, we've only got 12 notes, and I think most combinations of notes have already been played. Okay, so, and I mean, to tell a story, you don't need to invent new words all the time, right? So we don't need to be playing completely new ideas all the time. Sometimes we play these things known as licks. So you can consider a lick a phrase. So if I said, I'm tired, I don't really need to say that in any other way. In that phrase, I'm tired, has been used by almost every human being that existed. So there is no harm or shame in you learning and using some phrases that have already been used before. Because all that does, well, number one, sometimes that's enough, actually, to just say that phrase. But what it also does, it helps you to understand the language better, you know, and then you can tell, you can throw those phrases into your storytelling. Okay. Because after working all day and lifting heavy objects all day, John said, I'm tired. Right. So what I'm going to give you in terms of language is some rhythmic ideas, because rhythm is the foundation for music, actually, and for improvisation. I actually believe it's the most important thing. Even though we started off playing notes, And I guess it's quite important that I didn't tell you the names of all these notes except for F, but the rhythm is way more important than the notes. So we're going to use these 3 rhythms over here. We're going to use a rhythm called quarter notes. So when you play a quarter note is basically 1 count. Right, so 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So I'm playing some, quarter notes. I'm playing them staccato, which is a whole different thing, which I won't bother getting into. But those are quarter notes, when you play a note for 1 count. Sometimes you might want to play what's known as the half note. So that means you're going to hold your note for 2 counts. So you might go 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. So if I said to myself, you know what, I'm going to play on these black keys and play some notes as quarter notes and some as half notes, I might end up with things like this. So 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1. So all I'm doing is I'm playing my black keys but using the rhythm of either a quarter note or a half note. I'm going to add one more to this. I'll add the whole note. So when you play a whole note, you want to hold that note for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. By the way, in other parts of the world, that quarter note would be referred to as a crotchet, the half note as a minim, and then the whole note is a semibreve. Okay, so feel free to use whichever feels more comfortable for you, really, or whatever is used wherever you come from or wherever you live. So like I'm in Africa now, and if I say half note, people will be like, well, what are you talking about? Okay, they want to hear minim. Then they're like, oh, this guy really knows what he's talking about. Okay, but anyway, that doesn't really matter, as long as you know how to play it. Right, so for this next piece that we're going to play together, I want you, again, on the black keys, you can play them in any order, repeat a note if you want to, and all you have to do is to play any of those 3 rhythms. Okay, and feel free to count if you want to. Also feel free not to count. I'll probably recommend not counting. Just be thinking, okay, some of my notes are short, some of them are longer, and then some are even longer. Okay, we will listen back to our improvisation later, and then we will evaluate. But as we're playing, we're just going to go for it. Okay, so I'll start us off, and then I want you to take over. Remember, you're playing the high notes, I'm playing the middle to low. Okay, so I'll actually count us in. Okay, since we're now talking rhythm. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 1, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take over, play me those high notes. Let's end our song. 1, 2, and end it right there. Okay, and again you can float off those keys. Right, so I hope you had fun doing that. If you ever feel like, I want to play that again, well, then you can just always rewind this video and play that with me again. What I'll do, I'm only thinking of this now, is I will make some backing tracks. Okay, because you won't always have me. So I'm just going to make backing track, maybe with some drums and maybe some bass, maybe even some keyboards, so that you can then play the high notes still on your instrument and just have fun playing along with that chord progression. Okay, it might be exactly what I played here or maybe slightly different. I'll see how that goes, but I'll attach the backing tracks in the description, okay, for you to play along with afterwards. But feel free to rewind the video as many times as you need to and play along. Okay, so what have we done there? We played on the black keys, but this time using the rhythm of either quarter note, half note, or whole notes. Okay, so let's make life a little more interesting. So I mean, black keys, yes, they're fine. Let's see if we can add a different white key. So in the one song we added an F. What if we added, instead of F, let's try A. So where do we find A? Again, you go to a group of 3 black keys. In between the second and the third of those black keys. So between the middle one and the one to its right, there's a white key right there. So we call this A. So you can play any black keys. Okay. I actually like to call this the blue note, because it makes the sound of this feel like the blues. Okay, so I mean, if I did that, if I played something, maybe a minor blues of some sort. So if I played something like, and then if you played, the that blue note, that feels so cool, right? So I'm going to play a little bit here. I'm going to be incorporating the half note, quarter note, whole note, but I might even incorporate what's known as the 8th note. Who knows what's going to happen here? I'm just going to play whatever I'm feeling, and I also want you to play whatever you're feeling. And then let's see what happens. We might be able to create magic after all. Right, so I'm going to start. I'm counting us in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Join me. Play that thing. Your black keys plus A. Let's end our song. Play those black keys, play those black keys, play those black keys, plus an any A. Yeah, baby. What a cool way to end a blues improvisation. And what did we do there? All we did was we were playing some black keys plus A, and that gave us some interesting, beautiful sounds. I hope you are enjoying it from that side of the screen just as much as I am over here. I can almost hear you playing with me. Woo! All right. So let's add a few more patterns to this. Hello there, my music family and friends. I just wanted to take a quick break from the video, and I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. Now, really quickly, did you know that about 75% of the people that watch my videos are not yet subscribed to this channel? That means there's a chance that you're probably not subscribed either. So if you're not subscribed, please do me a favor and go and click on that subscribe button. That's really going to help me to continue creating content like this and for this channel to do really well. So we've already mentioned that rhythm is important when we've mentioned half note, quarter note, and whole note. What would be interesting as well for improvisation is to have some preset rhythms. Okay, so I've written down 3 rhythms that I would like to explore, and I'm going to explore those using what we call a C5 finger scale. The C5 finger scale basically means you're playing C with your thumb, and then D with finger 2, E with finger 3, F with finger 4, and then G with finger 5. Okay. Some people refer to this as the pentascale. So pentascale or 5-finger scale. So these 5 notes are the pool that I'm going to be drawing from and just messing around with those notes, okay, using these rhythms that I've written. So my very first rhythm sounds like this. Okay, so I'll count up to 4, then play it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3. Rest. 1, 2, and 3. Rest. So what you can then do with a preset rhythm like that is you can pick any of these notes and play that rhythm. So if you do exactly what I did there, which is play that rhythm on one note, that's fine, because I could have also gone, or I could have gone, but I can also go. Two and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. So as you can see, hopefully, and I hope you can hear that I'm playing exactly the same rhythm. That 1, 2, and 3 rhythm. Okay. So I'm going to add a bit of accompaniment here. I'll pick a simple chord progression. So maybe I'll play. In fact, I'm going to start with just 2 chords. I'm going to play that rhythm in my right hand because I just want you to listen to it. So I'm going to go 3, 4, then 1, 2. I'll give myself time to rest, and then I'll 1, 2, 3, 4. Now your turn. See what you can do there. Ready? Go. 1, 2, and 3. Again. 1, 2, and 3. Again. 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. Any idea will sound nice. Da, da, te, ta. Let's do one more. Ta, ta, te, ta. You can end on any one note from that scale. All right. So you can have a preset rhythm. This is one that I just happened to write down, the first thing that came to mind. But it could have been, I also wrote down another one. So this one here, like 3, 4, ta, te, ta, te. So I'm just calling that ta, te, ta, te. Okay, it's an easy way to remember that rhythm. Or you can say ti, ki, ti, ki. Whatever syllables you want to use, actually, as long as you're saying it right or counting it right. That's the most important thing. So it's like ti, ki, ti, ki. Or And remember, don't judge what you're playing. Just enjoy it. Okay. So let's try that rhythm and see what you could possibly come up with. I'll play a little bit and then I'm going to leave it to you. Okay. Who knows? I might even start changing my progression a little bit. But let's see how this is going. 1, 2, ready? Let's go. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Over to you. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Keep going. Tiki, tiki. Tiki, tiki. What would also be cool is instead of the break in between, we can now just make this pattern continuous. So you can just be going tiki, tiki. Tiki, tiki. Tiki, tiki. Tiki, tiki. Whatever you want. Let's go. So I hope you're coming up with interesting ideas on that C pentascale using these rhythms. Okay, I'm going to try one more. So this one is going to go like 1 wrist tate, 1 wrist tate, 1 wrist tate, 1 wrist tate. Remember, it can be the same note, it could be 2 notes, it could be all of them, whatever you want to do. Okay, so let's see if we can play using again that C pentascale and that particular rhythm. So it's 1 wrist tate wrist, 1 wrist tate wrist. Let's go. 1 wrist tate wrist, 1 wrist tate wrist, 1 wrist tate wrist, 1 wrist. Here's some examples. 1, 2, 2. You can play it over and over. 2. I was naughty there, but that's fine. Right, and for those maybe who've got a background in reading, I would also say this because I noticed this now. So don't be too worried about the precision of the rhythm. Well, the rhythm's got to be precise, but if your quarter note ends up a little longer than it should be, that's fine, as long as generally speaking we are playing that rhythm. So if I said, that's fine. It doesn't necessarily have to be 1 rest. Rest. Okay, so it could have been 2. So focus more on feeling that rhythm rather than counting it and trying to be as precise as possible. Okay, so just try and make that rhythm feel good. So if you practice these rhythms a few times, and by the way, I'll make a backing track for this particular exercise as well. What I would suggest is that you now start mixing up those rhythms. So you're still using that same C5 finger scale, but you're playing different rhythms. So maybe you might play this first rhythm. If I count us in like 1, 2, 3, 4, you might go 1, 2, and 3. Then you might go, and then you can pick any rhythm of your choice actually. So like to end it, I just played a whole note. Okay, because remember initially we played whole note, half note, quarter note. So maybe for the 4th time round, pick any of those to use. Okay, so let's try that a little bit together and hear how that might turn out. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. So here's first rhythm. now your turn. Whatever you want to. First rhythm, 1 tate 1. Then second tate tate. Ni ra rest tate. Whatever you want there. Then 2, 3, 4. Mistakes are your friend. Don't worry about that. One more time. And then let's end it. All right. Cool. So that's a cool idea. And to summarize that idea, you write down specific rhythms or just think of specific rhythms. It could be one rhythm. In this case, I gave you 3. You can practice those 3 actually until this idea of improvising starts to feel natural. Okay. And what's interesting is you're already improvising, and because you're thinking rhythm, almost everything you play is going to feel good, is going to sound good. Okay, so that right there, very cool exercise. Another cool way to learn to improvise is by using this idea of call and response. So what that means in this case is I'm going to play something and then you're going to play something back. Or if you think in terms of language, I'll say something and then you respond to what I've just said. So when you're responding, you don't necessarily have to say what I just said. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit of a weird conversation. Right? So, but there has to be some sort of connection. Otherwise, we're not making sense either. Okay? Because if I talk about aliens and then you start talking about farming, those two ideas might not be related. So let's try and stay more or less in the same topic or theme, but use different words to say that. And maybe the words that we can use will be based on an A minor scale. So if we already played A earlier, so there's A. Maybe we could think of this as an A pentascale as well. So just A, B, C, D, E. So we're going to use those 5 notes, okay, and see what we can come up with. Right. So okay, we'll play something like that. Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll change the style a little bit. Maybe I'll make this feel a little bit South American, maybe. Okay, so my accompaniment will be something maybe that takes us to a country like Brazil or something like that. Okay, so, but the scale is, okay, so I'll play that in my bass. And then here's my first idea. You respond. Okay, so let me just clarify that. So this was my first idea, right? So I said, so you might maybe say, okay, I'm going to play that same rhythm, but using my own notes from the scale. So you might say, okay, it might even be slightly different rhythm. So you might say, and now I have to play something else. And then you're going to respond. So if we're together and I could hear what you're doing, then I would try and respond to exactly what you said. Okay, so it might not work quite like that because it's from one screen to another. But let's give it a go and see what we could come up with. So you just try and respond to whatever I'm playing, okay, using our A minor pentascale. Okay, let's go for it. So my turn, 1, 2, 3, 4. Your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. turn. Your turn. You. Your turn. Let's end it. Okay. Maybe that sounded more Spanish than Afro-Cuban. Okay, I've got no idea what style that might be. But anyway, the idea is for us to just create something using a pentascale, but also the idea of listening to each other. So this skill is actually quite important, especially when you start playing with other people, because I just happen to be a fan of musicians who really listen to what other musicians are doing. So, and then they respond to what the others are doing. So if the bass player plays something, ooh, I want to respond to that. Or if I play something and then the saxophone player responds to that, ooh, that just makes me feel amazing. I'm like, oh, okay, now we're having a conversation here and we're really improvising. But then when I'm playing by myself, the thing that I actually try and do is to respond to myself. So I'll play an idea and then I'm going to try and respond to myself. And maybe that's an exercise that you could do as well. So you play something, wait a little bit just so that you hear that idea in your head. And then when you respond, try and make your response connect to your original idea. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. This time maybe I'll play more or less some sort of pop chord progression. So maybe I'll just play 1, 5, 6, 4. And I'll use a C pentascale. So that was that, right? So I hope you can hear that every time I play an idea, my response is going to be something that's connected. But I'm also resting in between the ideas, because then that gives me time to hear my idea and to retain it in my head. Okay. When these ideas start to connect, in my opinion, that's when a beautiful story begins to be told. Okay. All right. Sorry if you can hear my cat outside. Right. So I'm going to try and do that again. So here's my first idea. Da-da-dee, right? Here's my second idea. Connected. I'm going to try something else. See, I've developed that initial idea. Here's another one. Actually just repeat it. Okay, so when you listen to yourself, your ideas begin to become more meaningful. So you are now able to at least develop that idea. Okay, so these things that I've given you today, I think are a good way to start getting into improvisation, especially if you're doing it from scratch, and regardless of what background or what style you've played, as long as you are creating from the beginning, this should work. So remember, if we're to summarize, I've tried to give you as little information as possible. And what I mean by that is, first, you're trying to improvise on black keys. Maybe you might add one note like the A or the F. And then, when it came to the white keys, we just use simple ideas like a C pentascale and an A pentascale. The cool thing about black keys is they also make a scale which is known as the pentatonic scale. So if I play that is an F sharp major pentatonic scale. Okay, that's why these ideas work. So scales are the next thing that's actually important for you to know as a musician, because then you've got your rhythm down, and once you add scales to it, so rhythm plus scales equals melody. Okay, so challenge that I want to give to you after this lesson is get the backing tracks from the description and try all these ideas out, and feel free to play this video over and over and over so that we can play together and respond to each other. And if you continue that process over a period of time, you'll start to get the hang of improvising. And remember, do not judge yourself. Okay, it's okay to reevaluate your playing after listening to a recording of it, and then we can start to work on specific things and to get better at specific things. Okay, but while you're playing, pay no thought to what you're doing, as in, does it sound good or does it sound bad? Just play. All right. Usually it sounds good more times than it won't. All right. So if you've enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up. If you've got any questions or any contributions to this topic of improvisation, particularly for people who are starting from scratch, please feel free to share your ideas in the comment section. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please, I would encourage you to do so that you don't miss any videos that I post. And I hope to see you in the next video. Enjoy your improvisation. Freedom!